The airport hums with its usual chaos, rolling suitcases, boarding calls echoing from speakers, families hurrying toward gates. But for Ava and Amara Johnson, 14-year-old identical twins, today feels different. They've been counting down for weeks, excited about visiting their grandmother in Chicago for spring break. Their father, Darius Johnson, insists on traveling light with them. Though he's dressed in a plain jacket and baseball cap, hiding his identity comes naturally. Few in this bustling terminal know that he isn't just any traveler. He is the CEO of SkyConnect Airlines, the very company running half of the flights in this building. The twins laugh as they roll their carry-ons side by side, their braids swinging. Darius watches with a smile, proud of their independence. But when they reach the gate, everything shifts. The gate agent, a middle-aged white woman with sharp eyes and a clipped tone, frowns at the girls as they approach. "Excuse me," she says coldly, blocking the boarding lane with her arm. "Where do you think you're going?" Amara blinks, confused. This is our flight. Flight 228 to Chicago." The woman's lips tighten. "Not without an adult. Children aren't allowed to board alone." Ava's voice rises, polite but firm. "We're not alone. Our dad is right here." She points to Darius, who steps forward calmly, but the gate agent doesn't even glance at him. She looks only at the girls. "I'll need to see proof. Tickets, ID, something. Because this doesn't look right." Passengers behind them shuffle impatiently, some whispering, others rolling their eyes at the delay. Darius hands over all 3 boarding passes with a steady hand. "Here you go. Ava Johnson, Amara Johnson, and Darius Johnson. All checked in, all confirmed." The woman's eyes scan the tickets, but her expression hardens further. That doesn't prove these 2 are your children. You could be escorting them illegally." The twins stare, their cheeks flushing with embarrassment. Amara whispers, "Why is she saying that?" Darius keeps his tone calm, though his jaw tightens. "Ma'am, these are my daughters. You've scanned our documents and everything matches. There is no problem here." But the gate agent smirks. "Actually, there is. They don't look like they belong in first class, and until I get clearance, they're not boarding." Gasps ripple through the line. A young woman in line pulls out her phone, already recording. A businessman mutters under his breath, "This is ridiculous." The twins shrink back, mortified, as the woman continues to block them. "Step aside," she orders. "We need to confirm the situation before you go anywhere." Darius takes a slow breath. He's dealt with arrogance before, but rarely in such a personal, humiliating way. The urge to unleash his authority simmers beneath his calm exterior, but he resists, for now. "Listen carefully," he says evenly. "You are preventing my daughters from boarding a flight they are ticketed for. That is unlawful discrimination. If you don't remove your arm right now, I promise you, this moment will not end the way you think it will." The woman scoffs. "Oh, please, you don't scare me. I've worked here 20 years. I know the rules better than you ever will. These girls aren't going anywhere until I say so." The crowd murmurs louder. Phones are raised higher. The twins cling to each other, their eyes wide with shame and fear. Ava whispers, "Dad, please, can't we just wait? Maybe she'll change her mind." But Darius shakes his head, his voice low but steady. "No, baby. This ends now." He reaches into his jacket pocket and pulls out a slim black wallet. Inside gleams a corporate ID card embossed with gold lettering. Darius Johnson, Chief Executive Officer, SkyConnect Airlines. Gasps erupt as he holds it up for the agent and everyone else to see. "You've just denied boarding to the CEO's daughters, and you've insulted my family in front of half this terminal." The woman's face drains of color. Her hand trembles as she lowers her arm. I didn't know. But Darius cuts her off, his voice sharp now. "You didn't need to know who I was. You just needed to treat my children with dignity. And because you failed that simple task, no flight under this airline's banner will leave this ground today. Not one." The crowd erupts in shocked murmurs. The gate agent's jaw drops, her arrogance collapsing into panic. The twins look at their father with wide eyes. Ava whispers, "Dad, are you serious?" Darius nods slowly, his voice carrying through the terminal. "Every flight is grounded until accountability takes off, and I'll make sure the world knows why." Phones flash, cameras roll, passengers cheer. The story is already writing itself, but for the Johnson family, it has only just begun. The gate falls into stunned silence. Phones are lifted high, recording every second as Darius Johnson's words echo. No flight under this airline's banner will leave this ground today. The gate agent stammers, her confidence gone. Sir, I didn't realize. Darius's eyes narrow. That's the problem. You didn't need to realize who I was. You just needed to respect two young girls holding confirmed tickets. Instead, you profiled them, humiliated them, and tried to block them from boarding. That is unacceptable. The passengers around him begin to applaud. Some clap slowly, others cheer outright. A man in a business suit shouts, "That's right! About time someone stood up to this nonsense." The twins, Ava and Amara, exchange nervous glances. Ava whispers, "Dad, everyone's looking at us." Darius kneels between them, placing a steady hand on each of their shoulders. "Let them look, baby, because this isn't about shame, it's about truth. And the truth is, you belong here as much as anyone else." Behind the counter, the agent's supervisor rushes over, alerted by the commotion. A tall man in a blue blazer, his name tag reading Operations Manager, quickly scans the scene. "What's going on here?" Darius rises calmly, showing his ID again. "Your employee denied my daughter's boarding because she didn't believe they belonged in first class. She humiliated them publicly, despite their tickets and documents being valid. I'm Darius Johnson, CEO of SkyConnect Airlines, and effective immediately, every flight is grounded until we deal with this." The supervisor pales, glancing at the ID, then at the recording phones. He swallows hard. "Mr. Johnson, please, let's step into the lounge and resolve this quietly." Darius shakes his head, his voice sharp. "Quiet is what let this culture fester. Quiet is why passengers think this behavior is normal. We will not step anywhere until accountability is loud enough to be heard across this entire terminal." The crowd erupts in cheers. Passengers stomp their feet, chanting, "Accountability! Accountability!" The gate agent crumbles under the attention, shrinking back behind her desk. Her once cold stare is now wide with fear. Amara clutches her father's arm. "Dad, is this really going to stop every plane?" Darius nods. "Yes, sweetheart, and sometimes that's what it takes to make people listen." Within minutes, announcements ripple through the terminal. "Attention all passengers! SkyConnect Airlines has delayed departures until further notice." Gasps echo as the message repeats. Travelers crowd windows, murmuring in disbelief. News spreads fast. Reporters already at the airport rush toward the gate. Cameras roll, microphones extend. "Mr. Johnson, is it true you've grounded all flights? What triggered this decision?" Darius stands tall, his daughters at his side. "It is true, and what triggered it was simple. Arrogance. An employee looked at my daughters and decided they didn't belong. She denied them dignity. And I refused to let another passenger, child or adult, face the same humiliation." The crowd cheers again. Phones live stream the moment, sending it viral within minutes. The supervisor wipes sweat from his brow. "Mr. Johnson, with all due respect, grounding flights will cause chaos. We can discipline her privately." Darius cuts him off. "This isn't about one employee. This is about every passenger who has been told they don't belong. Today, SkyConnect will stand for dignity, or it won't fly at all." Security personnel arrive, uncertain whether to intervene or stand down. They glance at each other, realizing quickly that the cameras rolling make this situation untouchable. Meanwhile, passengers rally. A mother with two small children raises her voice. "My son was denied boarding last year because they said he looked too young for his ticket. We weren't believed either. Enough is enough." Her words ignite the crowd. Chants grow louder. "Enough is enough! Enough is enough!" Ava and Amara look around in awe. Ava whispers, "Dad, they're all chanting for us." Darius smiles down at them. "Not just for you, baby. For everyone who's ever been silenced." By now, news outlets outside the airport pick up the story. Headlines flash across television screens. Airline CEO grounds flights over discrimination at gate. Social media explodes. Hashtags trending within minutes. #grounded for justice, #dignity before departure. Inside the terminal, the atmosphere transforms from chaos into unity. Strangers hug, families clap, even frustrated travelers nod with understanding. The operations manager leans close to Darius, whispering desperately, "Mr. Johnson, please reconsider. You're hurting the company, your company, by doing this." Darius's reply is firm, unshakable. "A company that sacrifices dignity for profit isn't worth flying. Today we prove what we stand for, or we stand for nothing at all. The supervisor's face drains of color. He realizes the cameras have captured every word. There is no retreat, no cover-up, no silence left to hide behind. As the chants swell and the reporters press in, Ava and Amara stand taller. The shame that once burned their cheeks is gone, replaced with pride. For the first time that day, they see not just their father, but the leader, the man who will not bend to arrogance, the man who would ground the skies for their dignity. And in that terminal, under the glow of cell phone screens and the roar of chants, a storm is brewing, one that will spread far beyond Riverton International Airport. Because this is no longer just about two girls blocked at a gate. This is about every passenger, every family, every traveler told they didn't belong. And Darius Johnson has just declared war on silence. The terminal is no longer just a place of travel, it has become a stage. Chants echo off the walls, phones stream live to thousands watching online, and reporters shove microphones toward Darius Johnson as if every word might shift the course of history. SkyConnect grounded, passengers stranded, CEO takes a stand against discrimination. The news flashes across television screens in real time. What began as humiliation for two young girls has exploded into a national spectacle. Ava clutches her father's hand. "Dad, are we in trouble?" Darius leans down, his voice steady. "No, sweetheart. We're making sure no one else goes through what you just did. Trouble isn't standing up. Trouble is letting this keep happening." Amara glances around at the chanting passengers. Some wave their phones, others shout words of support. "They're with us," she whispers, almost in disbelief. The gate agent who started it all has vanished behind the counter, her arrogance dissolving into panic. But her absence does nothing to calm the storm. If anything, it fuels it. The operations manager wipes sweat from his forehead. "Mr. Johnson, with all respect, this can't go on. Planes are delayed, crews are stranded, customers are furious." Darius cuts him off, his voice sharper now. "Are they furious? Look around." The manager glances nervously at the crowd. Passengers cheer, some chanting, "Justice before boarding." Others clap in rhythm, their voices rising. "This isn't fury," Darius continues. "This is solidarity. You see frustration because flights are delayed. I see resolve because dignity matters more than departure." Phones catch every syllable, beams of light glowing in the dim terminal. Suddenly, a passenger in a business suit steps forward. "He's right," the man says loudly. "I've flown SkyConnect for 20 years. I've seen people treated badly for no reason. I've stayed quiet because I wanted to get where I was going. But not today. Today, I'll wait." The crowd erupts in applause. Others nod in agreement. Meanwhile, outside the terminal, news vans jam the curb. Anchors broadcast live. Breaking news out of Riverton International Airport, where the CEO of SkyConnect has grounded all flights after a racially charged incident against his daughters. Social media explodes. Hashtags trend, #grounded. For justice, #no boarding without dignity, #Johnson twins. Celebrities begin tweeting their support. One actor posts, "Finally, someone in power using it for good. Respect, Mr. Johnson." Inside, the airport's loudspeakers crackle. "Attention passengers, SkyConnect Airlines has suspended all operations pending executive review. We apologize for the inconvenience." The announcement only fuels the chants. "Not inconvenience, justice," passengers shout back. Security approaches cautiously, unsure of their role. Cameras track every move. One officer leans toward the operations manager. "Should we clear the crowd?" The manager shakes his head frantically. "No, not with cameras rolling, not with him standing there." Darius holds his daughters close, then steps forward again. His voice booms through the terminal. "Let me be clear. This is not about me. It's about every child, every family, every traveler who has been told they don't belong. Today we show the world that dignity is not negotiable. Today we show that arrogance has consequences." The crowd roars in approval. The sound rattles the walls. Amara whispers to Ava, "He's really doing it. He's shutting down the whole airline." Ava nods, her chest swelling with pride. And everyone's watching. Within the hour, national news crews arrive inside the terminal. Microphones swarm Darius. "Mr. Johnson, what message are you sending by grounding your own airline?" He answers without hesitation. "That no profit is worth more than a person's dignity. That my daughters are not exceptions. They are examples. and that SkyConnect will fly again only when accountability takes flight with it. Applause breaks out. Even some employees, baggage handlers, flight attendants, clap quietly in the background. The operations manager tugs nervously at his tie. "Mr. Johnson, corporate is going to call. You're putting billions at risk." Darius turns, his eyes like steel. "If billions rest on humiliation, then let it collapse. I won't trade dignity for dollars." Phones flash. Reporters jot every word. At that moment, a flight attendant steps forward, her uniform crisp, her eyes determined. "Sir," she says loudly enough for cameras to hear, "as a black woman working for this airline, I've seen this before. Passengers questioned, harassed, doubted, while we were told to stay silent. Not anymore. I stand with you." The crowd erupts again, louder than before. Strangers cheer, some chanting her name. The chants shift into a new rhythm. "We stand with you! We stand with you!" Darius looks down at his daughters. "See, girls, courage spreads." Ava and Amara smile, their fear dissolving into pride. Outside, helicopters circle the airport. News anchors describe the scene as unprecedented. An airline CEO halting his own company's flights in the name of justice. In homes across America, families watch in awe. Parents tell their children, "See, this is what standing up looks like." And inside Riverton International Airport, under the glare of cameras and the roar of chants, Darius Johnson plants his flag. The skies may be grounded, but dignity is taking off. By the following morning, Riverton International Airport has become the center of the nation's attention. News helicopters circle the runways. Every major outlet has a crew stationed at the terminal. The story dominates headlines. Airline CEO grounds fleet after daughters blocked from boarding. Inside, the terminal buzzes with restless energy. Passengers sit on the floor, charging their phones, streaming updates live. Strangers swap stories of their own humiliations while traveling. Families chant in unison, filling the air with "dignity before departure." Darius Johnson has turned a personal insult into a public stand, and the world is watching. At a hastily arranged press conference in front of the terminal windows, reporters pack tightly together. Cameras flash as Darius steps up to the podium, his daughters at his side. He doesn't wear his usual polished suit. Instead, he wears the same simple jacket and baseball cap he had on yesterday. The message is clear. This is not about appearances, it's about truth. "My daughters came here yesterday with joy in their hearts," he begins, his voice calm but unyielding. "They were denied boarding because someone decided they didn't look like they belonged. That decision was wrong. It was arrogant. And as long as I lead SkyConnect Airlines, arrogance will never fly." The crowd of passengers cheers. Reporters shout questions, but he holds up a hand. "Listen carefully. This is not about one employee. This is about a culture where people think they can decide who belongs and who doesn't. That culture ends today." Behind him, Ava and Amara stand a little taller. They are still shaken, but the pride in their eyes grows with every cheer from the crowd. The first reporter gets a question in. "Mr. Johnson, grounding all flights has stranded thousands. Don't you worry this will damage your company?" Darius's reply is swift. "What damages a company more, a delay or the loss of trust? What costs more, fuel and tickets or the dignity of a child? We can repair schedules. We can never repair silence." Applause erupts. Cameras flash brighter. Another reporter asks, "What do you say to passengers frustrated by the disruption?" Darius nods, acknowledging the concern. "I say this. Every inconvenience you feel right now is a price worth paying to make sure no other family feels the humiliation mine did. And judging by the people behind me," he gestures at the passengers chanting nearby. They agree. The chants swell again. "We agree, we agree." In homes across the nation, viewers lean closer to their screens. Social media buzzes with praise. A civil rights leader tweets, "Justice delayed flights, but justice must never be delayed again." Meanwhile, inside the operations office, executives scramble on a conference call. "This is a disaster," one executive hisses. "Billions at risk, our reputation on the line." But another cuts him off. "Look at the screens. He's not losing us customers, he's gaining loyalty. People aren't angry at him, they're angry at what happened. If he handles this right, SkyConnect becomes the symbol of dignity. The CEO's power is undeniable. Every decision, every word is reshaping the future of the company and perhaps the industry." Back at the gate, the agent who caused the ordeal sits in a small office, pale and trembling. She scrolls through her phone, seeing her face plastered across social media. Millions have watched the video of her blocking the twins, her arrogance frozen forever in pixels. The comments are brutal. She buries her face in her hands, realizing too late that arrogance leaves a stain that can't be erased. Meanwhile, Ava and Amara walk with their father through the terminal, the crowd parting around them like a tide. Passengers reach out to clap him on the back, whisper encouragement, or simply nod in respect. Ava looks up at him. "Dad, are you sure people aren't mad we're stuck here?" He smiles down at her. "They're not stuck, sweetheart. They're standing. There's a difference." That evening, the protests inside the airport grow. Travelers light candles near the boarding gates, holding a vigil that stretches across terminals. Families sing, students chant, clergy pray. The airport is no longer just a place of departure. It has become a place of awakening. Reporters capture every moment. One anchor says live on air, "This is unprecedented." An airline CEO shutting down his own fleet, not for profit but for principle. Riverton International has become the ground zero of dignity. Darius returns to the podium once more as the vigil grows. His daughters stand beside him, candles glowing in their hands. His voice carries above the chants. "Tonight we send a message that will travel farther than any flight. Dignity is not negotiable. It does not need clearance. It does not wait at gates. It belongs to everyone. And until this airline lives that truth, these skies remain grounded." The crowd erupts in cheers. The chants roll louder, filling every corridor of the terminal. "Dignity is not negotiable. Dignity is not negotiable." From her wheelchair in the corner, an elderly woman claps out slowly, tears on her cheeks. "Finally," she whispers, "someone grounded the planes to lift us higher." The cameras catch her words, spreading them instantly. They become the line of the night, replayed endlessly. Grounded the planes to lift us higher. And in that terminal, under the glow of candles and the roar of voices, it becomes clear. This isn't a delay. This is departure. Not into the sky, but into history. By sunrise, Riverton International is no longer an airport. It is a protest ground, a news studio, and a symbol. Thousands of stranded travelers still sit in the terminals, but instead of frustration, unity fills the air. Chants ripple down concourses, candles glow in waiting areas, and everywhere people repeat the same words. Dignity before departure. News networks call it the most unusual shutdown in airline history. Commentators debate the risks and rewards of Darius Johnson's stand. But the images speak louder than analysis. Passengers clapping, children chanting, strangers hugging. Inside a VIP lounge converted into a press hub, Darius prepares for another round of interviews. Ava and Amara sit beside him, their small hands gripping cups of hot cocoa. They look tired, but the spark in their eyes hasn't dimmed. Amara whispers, "Dad, are we ever going to actually fly?" Darius chuckles softly, "Oh, we'll fly. But when we do, it'll be on our terms. Not arrogance's." Before he can say more, a producer rushes over. "Mr. Johnson, CNN wants you live in 2 minutes, MSNBC right after." Darius nods. "Line them up." The camera light flicks on. Across the nation, millions watch as the CEO sits, calm and unshaken. "Mr. Johnson," the anchor begins, "critics say grounding all flights is reckless. What do you say to the passengers stuck in airports across the country?" Darius's voice is even, measured. "I say this, they are not stuck. They are standing. Every inconvenience today is a small price to pay for dignity tomorrow. And from what I've seen in Riverton, people understand that." Clips play of passengers cheering, chanting, lighting candles. The anchor leans forward. "So when will flights resume?" "When accountability takes off with them," Darius replies firmly. "Not 1 minute sooner." The interview goes viral within minutes. Hashtags explode. #standing not stuck. #dignity before departure. #grounded for justice. Celebrities and politicians tweet their support. A senator writes, "Finally, a leader willing to halt profits for principle." Meanwhile, in corporate headquarters, hundreds of miles away, executives scramble. A board member slams his fist on the table. "He's out of control. Billions are evaporating by the hour." But another counters, "Look at the public. He's turned passengers into allies, not enemies. SkyConnect isn't collapsing, it's becoming a movement. We can't stop him now." Back at Riverton, the gate agent whose arrogance sparked the fire sits in isolation, scrolling through endless headlines. Her face is everywhere. Screenshots of her blocking the twins. Hashtags mocking her sneer. She buries her head in her hands, realizing too late, arrogance can go viral too, and it doesn't fade. In the terminal, passengers continue telling their stories. A father recalls being forced to repurchase tickets after being doubted. A college student describes being pulled aside for extra questioning because she didn't look like she belonged in business class. Each story fuels the chants louder. Ava listens, her young face serious. "Dad," she says quietly, "this isn't just us. It's everyone." Darius nods. "Exactly. That's why we fight." That evening, a massive crowd gathers outside the terminal. Civil rights leaders arrive, clergy lead prayers, students sing. The airport glows with candles stretching into the parking lots. Helicopters broadcast aerial views, a sea of light spreading across Riverton. At the heart of it all, Darius takes the podium again, his daughters at his side. Cameras flash, chants shake the ground, his voice booms through the night. Yesterday, arrogance tried to block two little girls from boarding a plane. Today, arrogance has grounded itself, because dignity cannot be denied. And tonight, I tell you this, our fight is not about schedules, it is about souls, and souls don't wait at gates. The crowd erupts, the chant changes. Souls don't wait, souls don't wait. From her wheelchair in the front row, an elderly woman wipes tears from her cheeks. "I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime," she whispers. Reporters capture the moment, broadcasting her words nationwide. They become the line of the night. Souls don't wait at gates. Back inside the lounge, Ava and Amara curl up together, exhausted. Darius drapes a blanket over them, his eyes softening. For a moment, the leader gives way to the father, but his phone buzzes. A message from Washington. "Call us, urgent, White House watching." He exhales slowly, his jaw tightening. The stakes have grown higher. This is no longer just about Riverton, it's about the nation. Still, as he looks at his daughters sleeping peacefully, he knows one thing. The fight is worth every grounded plane, every angry board member, every sleepless night, because arrogance may delay flights, but justice always departs on time. Riverton International looks more like a rally ground than an airport. Terminal walls glow with camera lights, reporters deliver updates every hour, and chants thunder endlessly. Dignity before departure. Passengers once impatient about delays now proudly share their stories. A mother recalls how her mixed-race son was questioned during boarding last summer. A businessman admits he'd been told once he was in the wrong line for first class. Each testimony fuels the fire. In the middle of it all, Darius Johnson walks with Ava and Amara. Strangers stop him constantly, some thanking him, others shaking his hand, some simply pressing a hand to their heart. He accepts each gesture quietly but firmly. "Dad," Ava whispers, "I thought people would be mad at us, but they're proud." Darius smiles. "That's because we turned shame into strength. People remember how they were treated, and now they know they're not alone." That afternoon, Darius is led into a conference room converted into a media hub. Executives from corporate headquarters have joined via video call, their faces tight with worry. One board member speaks sharply. "Darius, the stock is plummeting. Investors are in panic. You need to release the planes." Darius leans forward, his tone controlled. "You're worried about stocks. I'm worried about souls. If SkyConnect can't guarantee dignity, then no dollar is worth it." Another executive interrupts. "Be reasonable. You've made your point. Let's discipline the employee, issue an apology, and get back in the air." Darius shakes his head. "This isn't about one employee. This is about a culture. And until that culture changes, the skies stay grounded." The call ends in tense silence. One thing is clear. Darius is no longer just the CEO. He's the conscience of his company. Meanwhile, in the terminal, a new wave of passengers joins the protest. Students from local universities arrive with banners reading, "Justice flies with us," and "No badge, no gate above the law." Musicians bring guitars, filling the air with protest songs. The chants shift. "Justice flies, justice flies." By evening, news anchors describe the scene as a peaceful uprising. Families sit cross-legged on the floor, candles glowing in their hands. The airport hums not with frustration, but with unity. Back at the gate, the agent whose arrogance sparked the movement sits in a locked office. She scrolls through her phone, horrified as her face dominates national headlines. Comment sections shred her every word. She whispers to herself, "I didn't mean for it to go this far," but she knows it's too late. Her moment of arrogance has become eternal evidence. Meanwhile, Ava and Amara sit with their father in the lounge. Amara rests her head on his shoulder. "Dad, does this mean we'll never go to Grandma's?" Darius kisses her forehead. "We will, baby. But first we make sure every other child can see their grandma without being told they don't belong." The girls smile, comforted by his resolve. That night, outside the terminal, the scene grows even larger. Protesters gather in the parking lots, clergy lead prayers under the glow of streetlights, and national leaders arrive to join the vigil. Helicopters beam aerial shots of the crowd, a sea of candles stretching beyond the airport. On stage, Darius takes the microphone again. His daughters stand at his side, their braids catching the candlelight. His voice carries over the chants. Yesterday, arrogance blocked 2 girls at a gate. Today, arrogance is grounded in every city where SkyConnect flies. But listen to me, this is not about flights. This is about futures. If we can delay planes for profit, then surely we can delay them for principle. And tonight, principle takes priority. The crowd roars, chanting back, "Principle takes priority! Principle takes priority!" Reporters capture every second. Social media explodes again. A trending tweet reads, "Darius grounded planes to lift people higher." Meanwhile, in Washington, advisors gather around the president. "This is spiraling," one warns. "Millions stranded nationwide, but the public is siding with him. He's untouchable right now." Another adds, "If he wins this, every airline will have to change. He's rewriting the industry." Back in Riverton, Darius returns to the lounge late at night. Ava and Amara are fast asleep, curled up together. He drapes blankets over them, his expression softening. For a moment, he isn't the CEO leading a movement, he's just a father protecting his girls. But when his phone buzzes with another message, "White House expects your call tomorrow," he exhales heavily. The fight is bigger than he ever imagined. Still, he whispers to himself, "Whatever it takes." Because for Darius Johnson, this isn't about schedules or profits. It's about proving that arrogance can be grounded, and dignity, once airborne, can never be stopped. The following morning, Riverton awakens to a city transformed. The airport is still at a standstill, but instead of anger, the mood has shifted into determination. Local radio hosts open their programs with live chants from the terminal. National news leads every broadcast with footage of Darius Johnson holding his daughter's hands as he grounded the skies. Inside the VIP lounge, Darius takes calls non-stop. His phone buzzes with reporters, politicians, and activists. One message in particular flashes across the screen. "White House, schedule immediate call." He exhales slowly. The weight of this moment is heavier than any board meeting he's ever faced. Ava and Amara sit nearby, nibbling muffins given to them by supportive passengers. Ava looks up, her voice soft. "Dad, why is the president calling you?" Darius crouches to their level, meeting their eyes. "Because, girls, when you stand up for dignity, even the highest office in the country has to listen." Their eyes widen. Amara whispers, "So we really did something big, didn't we?" He smiles gently. "Yes, baby. Bigger than you know." In Washington, a flurry of debate erupts. Advisors crowd around a long table, arguing. "Grounding every SkyConnect flight is costing billions," one says. "We need him to back down," another shakes his head. "Look at the polls. Public opinion is on his side. If we push too hard, it looks like the government is siding against dignity. That's political suicide." The president listens quietly, then finally says, "Get me Darius Johnson. Tonight." Back in Riverton, the terminal remains electric. Families camp out on the floor, strangers share food, clergy lead prayers over loudspeakers, protest songs echo through the concourses, joined by clapping hands and stomping feet. Reporters capture every second. "This is no longer just an airport issue," one anchor says live. "This is a cultural shift unfolding in real time." The gate agent whose arrogance sparked the fire sits in hiding, her name now trending online. She scrolls through endless posts, videos of her blocking the twins, captions calling her the face of arrogance. Her phone buzzes with messages she doesn't dare open. She whispers to herself, I didn't mean for this." But her excuses dissolve into the void. Meanwhile, corporate headquarters reels. Executives debate furiously. One shouts, "He's destroying us." Another counters, "He's saving us. Don't you see? He's making SkyConnect untouchable. People won't abandon us. They'll flock to us because we stood for something." The board remains split, but no one can deny one truth. Darius Johnson holds all the power. That evening, the airport swells again. Outside on the plaza, tens of thousands gather, candles glowing, banners waving. From rooftops, students project slogans. Dignity before departure. No more silent gates. Helicopters broadcast live aerial shots of the crowd, stretching like a river of fire across the parking lots. On stage, Darius takes the microphone. His daughters stand beside him, their small hands clutching candles. His voice booms over the chants. 2 days ago, arrogance tried to deny my daughters a seat. Today, arrogance has no seat anywhere in this airport. And listen closely, it won't have a seat in this country either if we keep standing. The roar of the crowd shakes the ground. Keep standing, keep standing. Ava leans close to Amara, whispering, "That's our dad." Pride gleams in their young faces. Later that night, Darius takes the call from Washington. His daughters sleep on the lounge couch, their heads leaning together. He steps into a quiet corner, phone pressed to his ear. "Mr. Johnson," the president's voice begins, steady but cautious. "You've captured the nation's attention, but grounding flights indefinitely cannot continue. Millions depend on those planes." Darius replies calmly but firmly, "With respect, Mr. President, millions depend on dignity more. I won't release a single flight until SkyConnect proves it values people over profit." Silence lingers on the line. Then the president sighs. "You're leaving us no choice but to act." Darius doesn't flinch. "No, sir. I'm leaving you every choice to change." The call ends, unresolved. Back in the terminal, chants continue deep into the night. Families sing lullabies turned into protest songs. Strangers comfort one another. Reporters describe it as a city that refuses to sleep until justice wakes. From her wheelchair in the lounge, Evelyn Brooks, an elderly passenger caught in the disruption, tells a journalist, "I've traveled for 70 years. I've been ignored, searched, and humiliated. But tonight, I finally feel like I'm being carried. Not by a plane, but by the people." Her words spread across screens, another spark in the firestorm. As dawn breaks again, Riverton stands on the edge of history. The planes are still grounded, but the people are airborne in spirit. And Darius Johnson, watching his daughters sleep peacefully amid the storm, knows one thing for certain. The skies will fly again. But when they do, they'll carry dignity with them. By day 3, Riverton International resembles less an airport and more a living monument. The departure boards flash endlessly with the same 2 words, "All flights delayed." Yet the atmosphere isn't frustration, it's defiance. Passengers camp on the floor, families share meals, musicians strum guitars, and chants roll like waves across the concourses, "Dignity before departure." News anchors describe it as the world's first airborne protest, with planes on the ground and justice in the air. Social media counts millions of views on live streams from the terminal. The Johnson twins, Ava and Amara, are now symbols themselves. Hashtags with their names trend alongside their father's stand. In the VIP lounge, Darius Johnson sits at a table littered with newspapers, each headline bolder than the last. CEO grounds airline for justice. From boarding gate to groundbreaking stand. His daughters sit nearby, quietly coloring in sketchbooks given to them by supporters. Amara looks up. "Dad, are we heroes now?" Darius smiles softly. "Heroes aren't people who look for the spotlight, sweetheart. They're people who do the right thing even when it costs them. That's all we're doing, what's right." Ava tilts her head. "But the president called you last night. That means the whole country's listening." He nods. "Yes, which means we have to keep speaking." Meanwhile, in Washington, officials scramble. Advisors argue in heated tones. Air traffic is at a standstill. Billions are being lost. "He has to back down," one insists. Another shakes their head. "Public opinion is against us. Look at the numbers. 70% of Americans support him. Families across the country are holding vigils in solidarity. If we try to strong-arm him, we look like the villains." The president leans back, sighing. "So what we have is a man who grounded his own company and somehow turned passengers into believers. He's not just running an airline, he's running a movement." Back in Riverton, the protests swell outside the terminal. Tens of thousands gather in the parking lots, holding candles and banners. Choirs sing, students beat drums, clergy lead prayers, helicopters capture breathtaking aerial shots, the entire airport glowing like a river of fire. On stage, Darius steps up to a podium flanked by his daughters. His voice carries over the chants, steady as steel. 3 days ago, arrogance blocked my children from boarding a flight. Today, arrogance is grounded across this nation. But listen carefully, this is bigger than boarding passes. This is about every voice ever silenced at a gate, every dignity denied on a journey, every child told they don't belong. Tonight, we declare, those days are done. The roar that follows rattles the windows. The chant changes again. Those days are done. Those days are done. Reporters broadcast the moment live, their commentary hushed but awed. We are witnessing something unprecedented. An airline turned into a pulpit, an airport turned into a revolution. Inside corporate headquarters, executives panic. One board member fumes, "We're hemorrhaging money, he's destroyed us." But another slams a hand on the table. Look at the numbers. Our brand recognition has never been higher. People are lining up not to leave, but to support. SkyConnect is no longer just an airline, it's a symbol. Still, the divide grows. Some want Darius ousted, others want him immortalized, but all know the truth, he holds the world's attention. Meanwhile, the gate agent who sparked it all remains hidden. Her face circulates endlessly online. Memes mock her sneer, hashtags condemn her arrogance. She turns off her phone, but silence doesn't erase shame. She whispers to herself, "Why didn't I just let them board?" But it's far too late. Back in the lounge, Ava curls against her father's arm. "Dad, are we going home soon?" He brushes her hair gently. "Home isn't just where you live, Ava. Home is where you're treated with dignity. Until that's true for everyone, we're not done." The next morning, protests erupt nationwide. Airports in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles hold candlelight vigils in solidarity. Passengers chant the same words echoing through Riverton. Dignity before departure. In Detroit, a mural of Ava and Amara appears overnight, painted on a hangar wall. In Atlanta, clergy host a service under the slogan, "No more silent gates." Across the world, newspapers headline the same question: will Darius Johnson change aviation forever? That evening, Darius stands before the largest crowd yet at Riverton. Tens of thousands chant as he raises a hand. His daughters, holding candles, stand proudly by his side. 3 days ago, I grounded flights, but tonight I tell you this: flights will take off again, and when they do, they will carry more than passengers. They will carry a promise that no traveler will ever be told again they don't belong. That promise takes off with every plane, starting tomorrow. The crowd erupts. Cheers shake the ground. Chants rolling like thunder. Promise takes off! Promise takes off! Reporters capture the moment, blasting it across every channel. Commentators say, it's not just flights resuming, it's a new chapter in aviation. From her wheelchair near the stage, an elderly passenger whispers through tears, "He grounded the skies to lift us higher." And as the chants thunder on, it becomes clear. This movement is no delay. It is departure. And the destination is justice. The announcement that flights would resume ripples across the airport like a shockwave. Passengers cheer, reporters shout into cameras, and chants transform from grounded for justice into promise takes off. Yet even as schedules flicker back onto departure boards, the atmosphere in Riverton International remains electric. People aren't rushing for planes. They linger, holding candles, singing songs, refusing to let the spirit of the movement fade. Darius Johnson knows the risk he has taken. By grounding an entire airline for 3 days, he's shaken an industry and angered powerful forces. But as he looks at Ava and Amara, smiling, proud, their hands still holding candles, he knows the risk was worth it. "Dad," Amara says softly, "does this mean it's over?" He crouches down, meeting her eyes. "No, sweetheart, this isn't the end. This is the beginning." The planes may fly again, but the fight keeps going. Across the country, the response is overwhelming. Airports in New York, Chicago, and Dallas host their own vigils. Pilots and flight attendants post videos pledging solidarity. Celebrities tweet support. Respect to Darius Johnson. He grounded planes but lifted a nation. In Washington, hearings are scheduled within days. Lawmakers debate new bills aimed at protecting passengers from discrimination. One senator declares, "The Brooks case gave us fire, but the Johnson case gave us wings." Together, they demand reform. Meanwhile, in Riverton, Ava and Amara return to the terminal with their father. The morning flights resume. The boarding gate that once humiliated them is now draped with banners reading, "Dignity before departure." Passengers clap as they walk past, some kneeling to tell the girls, "You made history." Ava blushes, whispering to her sister, "We're just kids." "How did this happen?" Amara grins. "Because Dad wouldn't let them treat us like nothing." At the press podium, Darius speaks again, his words calm but powerful. "Flights will resume today, but not before we put protections in place. New training, new accountability, new oversight. Because this was never about shutting down flights, it was about lifting up dignity." The crowd erupts in cheers. Families chant, "Lift up dignity! Lift up dignity!" Inside corporate headquarters, executives begrudgingly accept the reality. What they feared would be financial ruin has transformed into unprecedented brand loyalty. Surveys show passengers more eager to fly SkyConnect than ever before, citing its stance on dignity as their reason. A board member shakes his head in disbelief. He gambled the skies and somehow won the nation. But others remain wary. This can't last forever. Public love fades. What happens when the next crisis hits? Still, no one dares challenge Darius now. His grip on the company and the culture of air travel is unshakable. Meanwhile, the gate agent whose arrogance sparked it all remains in hiding. Her face still circulates online, her name whispered with disdain. She scrolls through comments calling her the woman who grounded America. Every notification feels like another stone on her chest. She whispers, "Why didn't I just let them board?" But she knows the answer: arrogance. That evening, Riverton holds one final vigil before flights officially depart. The plaza outside the airport glows with thousands of candles. Choirs sing, children wave banners, clergy pray. The Johnson family stands at the center, their faces illuminated by the flames. Darius addresses the crowd. "This is not farewell. This is liftoff. Tonight, we prove that arrogance cannot keep us grounded. Tomorrow, the planes will rise, but more importantly, so will we." The crowd chants back, "We will rise, we will rise." Ava and Amara hold their candles high, their young voices joining the roar. For the first time since the humiliation at the gate, their shame has completely melted away, replaced with pride so strong it feels like wings. Reporters capture the moment, broadcasting worldwide. Commentators call it a defining image of our time, two young girls holding candles at the airport where dignity took flight. As dawn breaks, the first flights begin to board. Passengers cheer as announcements echo. "Now boarding, Flight 101 to Chicago." Crew members greet travelers with renewed purpose. The atmosphere is unlike any other day in aviation. Flights resuming not with routine, but with reverence. From a balcony, Darius watches silently as passengers file into the jet bridge. Ava tugs his sleeve. "Dad, are we getting on?" He nods. "Yes, baby. Today we fly, but not just us. Everyone flies with dignity." Together, the Johnson family walks toward their gate, greeted by applause from strangers. The twins step confidently into the jet bridge, no longer the children who were doubted and denied, but symbols of a movement that changed the skies. And as their plane lifts into the morning sun, chants still echo through Riverton International, "Dignity before departure, promise takes off." Because this wasn't just a delay, it was departure, and the destination is justice. The roar of the engines fills the morning sky as the first SkyConnect flight in 3 days departs Riverton International. Passengers cheer inside the cabin, some clapping, others wiping away tears. For them, this flight is more than travel. It's a symbol of victory. Down in the terminal, news anchors broadcast live. History is being made here today. The airline that grounded itself in the name of dignity is back in the air, stronger than ever. But for Ava and Amara Johnson, this moment carries deeper meaning. As they settle into their seats beside their father, they look around nervously. Some passengers smile warmly at them, others nod in recognition. A flight attendant kneels beside them. "You two are very brave," she says softly, handing them each a pair of wings pins. "These are usually for first-time flyers, but today you've earned them for something greater." The twins beam with pride, their shame finally replaced with strength. Darius watches them carefully, his jaw tight. He knows this flight isn't just about reaching Chicago, it's about showing the world that dignity can't be grounded. Back in Riverton, the terminal remains a sea of candles even as flights resume. Vigils continue, chants still rise. Families linger not because they have to, but because they want to be part of history. Reporters swarm passengers boarding flights. One man says, "I've flown for 30 years. I've never felt this much respect in an airport. This is what change looks like." Another adds, "I don't mind waiting 3 days if it means my kids will never be treated like they don't belong." In corporate headquarters, the board of directors holds another emergency meeting. Some still grumble about financial losses, but others see the bigger picture. "Our bookings are skyrocketing," one executive says, pointing to charts. "Public loyalty is through the roof. People don't see SkyConnect as just an airline anymore. They see it as a promise." Another shakes her head. "That promise depends on Darius. Without him, we're nothing." The room falls silent. Even his fiercest critics can't deny it anymore. He's reshaped the entire company. Meanwhile, in Washington, hearings begin. Lawmakers debate sweeping reforms in aviation. One senator holds up a photo of Ava and Amara holding candles. "This is why we legislate. Because no child should be told they don't belong at a gate." The chamber erupts in applause. Commentators call it the Johnson effect. Back in Riverton, Ava and Amara's classmates watch the coverage on school televisions. Some whisper, "That's them. That's our friends." Teachers use the moment to talk about dignity, respect, and courage. The twins, once humiliated, have become examples to children across the country. On the flight itself, Darius leans back in his seat, finally allowing himself a breath. Ava looks up at him. "Dad, do you think this will really change things?" He meets her gaze. "Yes, Ava, because people won't forget. They've seen what happens when you stand up. They've seen that one act of arrogance can be grounded by thousands of voices." Amara rests her head on his shoulder. "Then maybe we did something good." He kisses her forehead gently. "You did more than good. You gave the skies new wings." When the plane lands in Chicago, reporters are already waiting at the gate. Cameras flash as the Johnson family steps off. Crowds cheer, chanting their names. The twins hide shy smiles, clutching their father's hands tightly. Later that evening, the footage dominates television. The Johnson family walking confidently through the terminal, no longer victims but symbols. Headlines read, "From boarding denial to national inspiration." In Riverton, the vigils continue into the night. Families gather, candles glowing, voices united. Choirs sing hymns, banners wave, chants roll through the darkness. Dignity before departure. Inside his cell, Tom Greer, the disgraced pilot from another scandal, watches the coverage on a small television. He mutters bitterly, "They'll forget. They always forget." But deep down, he knows the truth. History has already written him out and written the Johnson family in. Meanwhile, the gate agent who started it all sits alone, her name tarnished, her career shattered. She scrolls through headlines calling her the woman who grounded America. Every article is another reminder. Arrogance doesn't just hurt others, it destroys itself. Back in Riverton, Darius returns with his daughters days later. The airport greets them like heroes. Crowds cheer, strangers clap, and reporters swarm once again. At the courthouse steps of the city, he addresses a rally of thousands. His voice booms through the night. "They tried to stop 2 little girls at a gate. Instead, those girls lit a fire across a nation. They grounded arrogance and they lifted us all. Tonight, Riverton tells the world, dignity isn't delayed. Dignity departs on time." The roar that follows shakes the ground. Ava and Amara hold candles high, their young voices joining the chant, "Dignity departs on time. Dignity departs on time." And as the crowd glows with thousands of lights, it becomes clear. This wasn't just a flight. It was a revolution. Because arrogance may try to ground people, but dignity always takes off. Riverton glows under candlelight once again. It has been a week since flights resumed, but the energy has not faded. If anything, it has grown. The airport that once symbolized humiliation now stands as a beacon of pride. Families still gather nightly, carrying banners, singing hymns, chanting, "Dignity before departure." At the center of it all, Darius Johnson and his daughters stand on a makeshift stage set up in front of the terminal. Ava and Amara, once embarrassed and small under the weight of prejudice, now lift their heads high. Their braids catch the light, their eyes shine with pride. Darius steps forward, his voice steady but fierce. 1 week ago, 2 girls were told they didn't belong. 1 week ago, arrogance tried to bar them from the skies. But look around you. Look at this city. Look at this country. We belong. We always belonged. The crowd roars. The chant shifts again. We belong. We belong. News cameras capture the moment. Across the world, families tune in. Commentators call it the moment dignity became law, not opinion. Meanwhile, in Washington, lawmakers introduce sweeping new protections for passengers. Airlines must train employees against bias, create clear reporting systems, and enforce accountability. The press dubs it the Johnson Act. In Riverton schools, children recite the story as part of their lessons. Teachers hold up pictures of Ava and Amara, telling students, "These girls stood for dignity, and because of them, you stand taller today." The twins blush when they hear their classmates whisper, "They're heroes." But at home, Darius reminds them gently, heroes aren't people who look for the spotlight. Heroes are people who refuse to bow to arrogance. At SkyConnect headquarters, executives concede that Darius has reshaped the company forever. Profits climb again, but this time they ride on trust, not silence. Customers flood the airline with loyalty, booking flights not for convenience but for principle. One board member admits quietly, "He risked everything and he gave us more than we ever imagined. He didn't just save the company, he gave it a soul." But for Darius, it's never been about business. It's about Ava and Amara, and every child who will never again be told they don't belong. The gate agent who sparked it all remains in hiding. Her arrogance has become a permanent stain, her name synonymous with disgrace. Alone, she mutters, "It was just a mistake." But the world has already judged her. Arrogance is never just. Meanwhile, the twins begin to understand the weight of what they sparked. At school, friends ask for selfies. Strangers write them letters. Ava admits to her father one night, "Dad, it feels weird being famous." Darius smiles softly. "You're not famous for being you. You're famous for reminding the world what it forgot. That dignity is not a privilege, it's a right." That weekend, Riverton hosts the largest march yet. Tens of thousands flood the streets, candles in hand, banners raised high. From rooftops, students project Ava and Amara's faces across buildings. Choirs sing, drummers pound rhythms, chants shake the city. On stage, Darius lifts a microphone. His daughters flank him, holding candles. His voice booms through the night air. They tried to silence 2 girls. Instead, those girls gave a voice to millions. They tried to ground dignity. Instead, dignity took flight. And tonight, Riverton declares, arrogance is grounded forever. The roar of the crowd rattles the windows of nearby buildings. Families cheer, children clap, elders weep. The chants roll like thunder. Arrogance is grounded. Arrogance is grounded. As the noise swells, Ava leans toward Amara and whispers, "We really did it. We changed things." Amara smiles. "No, Dad changed things. We just lit the match." Their father overhears and shakes his head. "No, girls, you are the flame, and that flame will burn long after I'm gone." From her wheelchair near the front, an elderly passenger holds up a sign that reads, "Grounded the planes to lift us higher." Cameras capture it, sending the image viral once again. Later that night, as the chants fade into the distance, Darius wheels his daughters through the quiet halls of the airport. The once hostile gate looks different now. Instead of suspicion, it carries a plaque newly installed that morning. On this spot, dignity was denied. On this spot, dignity took flight. March 2025. Ava touches the plaque gently, her eyes wide. "Dad, it's forever." "Yes, sweetheart," he says softly. "Forever." As dawn breaks, Riverton is quiet for the first time in days. Planes rise into the morning sky, but they carry more than passengers. They carry a promise. Because in Riverton, arrogance tried to take off, but it never left the ground. And dignity soared. Weeks after the shutdown, Riverton International has returned to the rhythm of travel, but it is no longer the same airport. The air feels different, lighter, safer. Passengers walk with confidence, not fear. Families board without hesitation. Staff greet travelers with respect, sharpened by training reforms introduced almost overnight. The Johnson Act has passed through Congress, signed into law by the president with cameras flashing. It mandates anti-discrimination training for all airline employees, independent complaint review boards, and harsh penalties for profiling passengers. Across the country, airports display new posters with the words, "Dignity before departure." At the unveiling ceremony in Washington, Darius Johnson stands on stage beside his daughters. Ava squeezes Amara's hand, whispering nervously, "Why are there so many cameras?" Darius smiles down at them. "Because the world wants to hear your voices." When the microphone is offered to them, Ava hesitates before stepping forward. "We just wanted to go see our grandma. We didn't know saying no to us would change so much. But now we know, we belong everywhere. And so does everyone else." The chamber erupts in applause. Lawmakers stand. Commentators later call it the moment innocence turned into leadership. Back in Riverton, the airport's gate where the ordeal began has been permanently renamed the Johnson Gate. A bronze plaque hangs on the wall. Here, dignity was denied. Here, dignity took flight. March 2025. Passengers stop to take photos. Families explain the story to their children. The gate is no longer a place of humiliation. It is a shrine of resilience. The gate agent at the center of the scandal has resigned, her name etched into infamy. Though she disappears from public view, her actions remain a cautionary tale. Arrogance leaves scars not only on its victims, but on itself. Meanwhile, Ava and Amara's lives change forever. At school, classmates call them the girls who grounded the skies. Teachers use their story as part of history lessons. At first, the attention embarrasses them, but slowly they realize they've become role models. One afternoon, a younger student approaches Ava shyly. "Because of you, I told the teacher when someone was mean to me. I wasn't scared anymore." Ava hugs her tightly, whispering, "That's what it's all about." For Darius, the weight of leadership only grows. His inbox floods with letters from passengers across the globe, stories of humiliation, discrimination, and resilience. One man writes from South Africa, "You may never meet me, but what you did reached us. We march with your daughters' names on our banners." Darius shows the letter to his girls at the dinner table. Amara's eyes widen. "All the way in Africa?" He nods. "That's the thing about dignity, it crosses oceans." SkyConnect. Airlines thrives like never before. Bookings soar, stock stabilizes, and customer loyalty breaks records. Families say they choose the airline not just for flights, but for what it stands for. Other airlines scramble to adopt similar reforms, pressured by public demand. But for Darius, success isn't measured in profits, it's measured in peace. At night, he tucks his daughters into bed, whispering, "You'll never face that kind of shame again, not while I breathe." Yet he knows the battle isn't fully won. Prejudice doesn't vanish overnight. Arrogance has deep roots, but Riverton proved something eternal. Silence can be broken, and when it is, even the skies must listen. Months later, Riverton hosts the first annual Day of Dignity. Tens of thousands flood the airport and city streets with candles. Families march, students sing, clergy pray. From rooftops, words are projected across buildings. "Justice flies with us." Darius speaks again, his daughters flanking him. "1 year ago, arrogance tried to ground dignity. Tonight, dignity is airborne across the world, and we will not descend." The chants that follow shake the city. "We will not descend. We will not descend." Ava leans into her sister, whispering, "It feels like we're flying without even leaving the ground." Amara nods, smiling. "Because this time, everyone's wings are showing." And under the glow of candles stretching into the horizon, Riverton proves once more. Arrogance falls, justice rises, and dignity soars forever. Months after Riverton lit up the skies with candles, the ripple effect of the Johnson family's stand is still shaking the country. The Johnson Act is now federal law, but its true power lies not in pages of legislation, it lives in the way people travel. Airports once known for suspicion now buzz with a new atmosphere. Passengers smile at one another, staff greet travelers with patience, and signs hang from gates across the nation. Dignity before departure. For Ava and Amara, life has changed in ways they never imagined. At school, classmates stop them in the hallways, whispering, "You're the girls who grounded the skies." Teachers use their story as a lesson, showing how courage can rewrite rules. The twins blush at the attention, but slowly learn to carry it with pride. One morning, their teacher invites them to speak during assembly. Nervously, they step onto the stage, looking out at hundreds of classmates. Ava clears her throat. "We didn't think we were special, we just wanted to see our grandma. But when someone told us we didn't belong, our dad reminded the world that we do, and so do all of you." The gym erupts in applause. Amara adds softly, "Don't be scared to speak up, even if you're just kids, even if people don't listen right away. Because dignity belongs to you too." That afternoon, local news covers the assembly, broadcasting clips of the twins' words. Commentators say, the Johnson girls are no longer just symbols, they are voices of a generation. Meanwhile, Darius's life is more complicated. SkyConnect thrives with record bookings and public loyalty, but behind the scenes, powerful enemies remain. Some rival executives grumble that he set a dangerous precedent. If every CEO grounded planes for principle, the industry would collapse. One sneers during a private meeting, but another responds bluntly, or maybe it would finally change. Back in Riverton, the airport prepares for the first anniversary of the shutdown. The city declares it the Day of Dignity, a new annual tradition. Tens of thousands are expected to march, carrying candles just as they did a year before. Families travel from across the country to attend, treating Riverton like a pilgrimage site. The preparations stir emotions in the Johnson household. Amara asks one evening at dinner, "Dad, are we really going to speak again? In front of all those people?" Darius nods. "Yes, because anniversaries aren't about remembering the past. They're about recommitting to the future." Ava frowns. "But what if people forget? What if next year no one cares anymore?" He leans forward, his voice gentle but firm. "Then we remind them." That's what movements do. They keep reminding the world until forgetting is impossible. The week of the march arrives, and Riverton transforms. Streets fill with banners, storefronts display signs of solidarity, and hotels sell out. Reporters flood the city once more, calling it the place where the skies were grounded to lift us higher. On the eve of the march, Darius takes Ava and Amara to the airport gate where it all began. The bronze plaque gleams under soft lights. The twins run their fingers over the engraving. Here, dignity was denied. Here, dignity took flight. Amara whispers, "It still feels strange, Dad, like it was a dream." He places a hand on her shoulder. "It was real. And tomorrow, you'll see how many people woke up because of it." The next day, the march begins. Tens of thousands flood Riverton's streets, candles glowing in the daylight. Families push strollers, veterans carry flags, students raise banners. The chants echo through the city, "Dignity before departure! Dignity before departure!" From the courthouse steps, Darius takes the microphone, his daughter standing proudly at his side. His voice booms across the plaza. "1 year ago, arrogance thought it could silence 2 little girls. 1 year ago, arrogance thought it could decide who belonged in the skies. But today, look around you. Do you see silence? No, you see strength. Do you see shame? No, you see pride." Riverton stands, and with it, dignity stands forever. The crowd roars. The chant shifts. "Dignity stands forever. Dignity stands forever." Ava and Amara exchange wide-eyed glances. For the first time, they truly understand. Their humiliation became history, and their voices became victory. Reporters broadcast the march live nationwide. In living rooms across America, families watch with tears in their eyes. One anchor says, "This isn't just remembrance. This is renewal." That evening, as the march winds down, the Johnson family sits quietly at home. Exhausted, the twins curl up on the couch, still holding their candles. Amara whispers, "Dad, do you think we'll always have to fight like this?" Darius pulls a blanket over them, his voice calm. "Yes, because arrogance doesn't vanish. It waits. But so does dignity. And as long as we keep standing, dignity will always win." Outside, the city still glows with candlelight. The chants echo faintly through the night. "We belong. We belong." And Riverton, once just an airport city, is now something more. Proof that even the smallest gate can open into history. The Day of Dignity. March leaves Riverton glowing long after the crowds disperse. Candles burn down to stubs along the courthouse steps, banners hang from balconies, and the sound of chants still lingers in the night air. For the Johnson family, the anniversary is not an ending but a reminder. The fight continues. The next morning, reporters flood Riverton International. News anchors open their broadcasts with sweeping drone footage of the march. 1 year later, Riverton has not forgotten. The Johnson stand has become a national tradition. Ava and Amara watch the coverage over breakfast. Amara giggles when she sees herself on screen holding a candle. "Dad, that's me! I look so serious." Darius chuckles. That's because you were serious. You were leading thousands of people. Ava tilts her head. But Dad, what happens now? The march is over. The law is passed. Does that mean we're done? He sets his coffee cup down, meeting her gaze. No, baby. It means we keep building. Because arrogance doesn't disappear. It adapts. If we don't stay vigilant, it'll find new gates to hide behind. Meanwhile, in Washington, the Johnson Act sparks fierce debate. Supporters hail it as a milestone, but opponents grumble about government overreach. One congressman sneers on live television, "Are we really grounding planes over hurt feelings?" The comment backfires instantly. Social media explodes with fury. Hashtags trend again. Hashtag not hurt feelings, hashtag human dignity. By the evening, the congressman issues an apology, but the damage is done. The nation makes it clear, dignity is not negotiable. Back in Riverton, the Johnson girls return to school. Their classmates swarm them with questions. What was it like to march with all those people? Did you really talk to the president? Are you famous now? Ava smiles shyly, answering as best she can. Amara, bolder, says, "We're not famous, we're just not invisible anymore." Their words echo in the hallways, repeated by teachers and classmates. Soon, posters appear on school walls with the twins' quote, "Not invisible anymore." Meanwhile, SkyConnect Airlines continues to thrive. Customer loyalty soars and other airlines scramble to copy its reforms. Training manuals across the industry now include the phrase, "dignity before departure." At a leadership conference in New York, Darius is invited to speak. Standing before hundreds of executives, he strips away corporate jargon and speaks plainly. You can measure profits in dollars, but true success is measured in people. If your company treats a passenger like they don't belong, you've already failed. Before the plane even leaves the ground, the room erupts in applause. Even rival CEOs grudgingly nod, realizing the tide has turned. Yet not everyone celebrates. In private corners of the industry, bitterness festers. Some whisper that Darius has set a dangerous precedent, empowering passengers to challenge authority. One competitor mutters, "He may have won the skies, but he's making enemies on the ground." Back in Riverton, the Johnson family tries to keep life normal. One Saturday, they visit their grandmother in Chicago at last. As Ava and Amara run into her arms, tears stream down her face. "My girls," she whispers, "you didn't just come to me, you carried the whole world here." The moment reminds Darius why the fight matters. This was always about family first, but now family has expanded to include every passenger who carries dignity in their ticket. That evening, back home, Darius tucks his daughters into bed. Amara asks sleepily, "Dad, what if it happens again someday? To someone else's kids?" He kisses her forehead. "Then we'll be there. And so will everyone else who marched with us." That's what we built, a promise that no child stands alone. As the girls drift into sleep, he sits quietly by their bedside, the weight of leadership pressing heavy on his shoulders. But when he thinks of the chants, the candles, the laws, and the smiles of his daughters, he knows the burden is worth it. Meanwhile, Riverton International prepares for the future. A new terminal is under construction, designed with murals of candles and quotes from the march. Architects call it the Terminal of Dignity. Travelers from across the world plan trips just to see it. Reporters predict the airport will become a permanent symbol, much like Selma or Montgomery, a place where ordinary people changed history. And as the project breaks ground, Ava and Amara are invited to place the first stones. Cameras flash as they press their small hands into the wet concrete. The plaque beside it reads, "From silence to strength, from shame to pride. March 2025. The image spreads across newspapers and screens worldwide. Commentators say, "Two little girls turned humiliation into heritage." That night, as Riverton glows with construction lights and candlelight vigils, the city feels alive with purpose. Families walk together, children chant softly, and the air hums with hope. Because arrogance may have sparked the fire, but dignity is what keeps it burning. The groundbreaking of Riverton's Terminal of Dignity sends shockwaves across the world. International newspapers publish photos of Ava and Amara pressing their hands into the wet concrete, smiles wide, innocence shining. Headlines read, "Children who grounded the skies lay stones for the future." At home that evening, Darius watches the coverage with quiet pride. His daughters sit beside him, giggling at how messy their hands looked in the photos. "Dad," Ava says between laughs, They're going to keep our handprints forever? Yes, he replies softly, because what you did wasn't just for today, it's forever. Meanwhile, the anniversary march continues to inspire action nationwide. Cities from New York to Los Angeles host their own days of dignity. Airports hold candlelight vigils. Airlines outside the U.S. announce similar reforms. One European carrier even renames its training program the Johnson Standard. But with the praise comes pressure. Darius is invited to speak at international conferences, testify before Congress, and appear on talk shows. Some nights he barely sleeps, his schedule full of speeches and interviews. Yet every time exhaustion threatens to break him, he remembers the moment at the gate, the humiliation in his daughter's eyes, and his resolve hardens again. Still, enemies remain. At a closed-door industry meeting, rival executives grumble. He's turned an airline into a pulpit. He's dangerous. Another adds, the public loves him now, but tides turn. If he slips even once, they'll crucify him. We just have to wait. Unaware of the whispers, Darius pushes forward. He meets with lawmakers drafting further reforms. He consults with community leaders, and every night he returns home to his daughters, grounding himself in the reason for it all. One evening, Amara brings him a crayon drawing. It shows a plane in the sky with candles floating alongside it. Across the top, she's written, "Justice flies with us." Darius stares at it for a long moment, overcome. "This," he whispers, "is why I do it." At school, Ava and Amara adjust to their new reality. They're still just kids, running at recess, stressing about homework, but they've become symbols too. Teachers invite them to speak at assemblies, classmates ask endless questions, and sometimes the pressure feels heavy. One day, Ava admits to her father, "I just want to be normal again." He kneels down, holding her hands. "Normal is what they tried to take from you. What you are now, brave, strong, heard, that's better than normal. That's unforgettable." Her eyes glisten, and she nods slowly. As the terminal of dignity rises, Riverton itself transforms. Hotels report record bookings. Local shops thrive. Murals of candles cover walls across the city. Tourists visit not for beaches or landmarks, but for history. Riverton has become a pilgrimage site for justice. One evening, a family from Brazil approaches Darius at the airport. The father explains through broken English, "We come because your daughters. They give us hope." His young daughter hugs Ava and Amara tightly, tears in her eyes. The twins smile, realizing their story crossed oceans. Meanwhile, corporate headquarters tries to adapt. Executives push new slogans, branding campaigns, and reforms. But Darius reminds them constantly, this isn't about marketing, it's about meaning. Don't cheapen it, live it. His words resonate. Employees adopt new practices, from pilots greeting passengers personally to gate agents trained to welcome every traveler by name. Slowly, an industry once stained by arrogance begins to rebuild its soul. Yet Darius knows victory is fragile. Arrogance doesn't vanish, it waits. And one mistake could unravel everything. That truth becomes clear one night when he receives a threatening letter. It reads, "Grounded planes, lifted pride, but you can't keep flying forever. We'll be waiting." He doesn't show it to his daughters, but the weight presses heavy. He confides in a close ally who warns, "The more you rise, the sharper the knives pointed at you. Stay alert." Back at home, Ava and Amara prepare for bed, blissfully unaware of the threats. They chatter about their school project, laughing, carefree. Watching them, Darius makes a silent vow. No matter what dangers come, they will never face that shame again. Not while I live. The following weekend, Riverton hosts a youth summit. Children from across the nation gather to share stories of resilience. Ava and Amara are asked to light the opening candles. As they stand on stage, their small hands trembling, they speak together. "We were told we didn't belong, but we learned we do. And so do you. Never let anyone ground your dignity." The crowd of children erupts in cheers, their voices echoing, "Never grounded, never grounded." That night, Darius stands at the back of the auditorium, tears glistening in his eyes. For the first time, he realizes the movement has grown beyond him. His daughters, and thousands of others, are carrying it forward, and under the glow of countless candles, Riverton shines brighter than ever. Because arrogance may have started the fire, but it is children who will keep it burning. The Youth Summit in Riverton echoes long after the last child leaves the stage. Videos of Ava and Amara lighting candles spread across social media, watched by millions. Comment sections flood with praise. These girls are the future. From humiliation to history. At home that night, the twins curl up on the couch with their father. Amara giggles, "Dad, someone online called us the candles of Riverton." Darius chuckles softly, "That's because you lit more than wax, you lit people's hearts." But behind the smiles, the threats against Darius continue. Anonymous emails, angry letters, even whispered rumors in industry circles. Some accuse him of weakening authority, others resent him for forcing change. His security team quietly increases their presence, but Darius refuses to show fear. "If I bend now," he tells his advisors, "then arrogance wins, and we didn't come this far to bow." Meanwhile, Riverton International undergoes transformation. The terminal of dignity rises higher each day, its glass walls reflecting sunlight like a beacon. Murals of candles and wings cover its interior. Architects design it not just as a building, but as a message. Travelers already book flights through Riverton just to see it. One morning, a group of international journalists tour the site. A reporter from London says, "This is no longer an airport, it's a monument." Another from Tokyo nods, adding, "It's proof that the skies can be shared with respect." Their coverage spreads worldwide, cementing Riverton's reputation as the birthplace of a new era in aviation. At school, Ava and Amara adjust to their new roles. Their classmates look up to them, but the weight of expectations sometimes feels heavy. One afternoon, Ava confides to her sister, "I miss just being us. Now everyone thinks we're leaders." Amara takes her hand. "Maybe that's what being us means now." Their words, overheard by a teacher, later appear in the school paper. Being us means leading. It becomes another phrase tied to their story. Meanwhile, Darius receives an invitation to testify before the United Nations in New York. The topic: Global Standards for Passenger Dignity. It is an opportunity to take the movement beyond America's borders. The night before he leaves, Ava asks, "Dad, why do you have to keep talking? Haven't people heard enough?" He kneels, meeting her eyes. "People heard, but now they have to listen. Change isn't loud once, it has to stay loud until it's permanent." She nods slowly, understanding. In New York, the UN Assembly Hall buzzes with anticipation. Delegates from dozens of countries sit ready. When Darius takes the podium, cameras broadcast worldwide. He begins not with statistics, but with a story. "My daughters were told they didn't belong. They held valid tickets, but arrogance tried to keep them grounded. I grounded the skies instead." And in that moment, the world realized dignity isn't local. It's universal. He pauses, scanning the hall. It doesn't matter what passport you carry, what language you speak, or what class your ticket says. Every traveler deserves respect. That is the flight path we must chart together. Thunderous applause fills the chamber. Delegates rise to their feet. Commentators later call it the speech that internationalized dignity. Back in Riverton, Ava and Amara watch the broadcast with their grandmother. Tears glisten in her eyes. "Your father just took your story to the world," she whispers. When Darius returns, the twins run to him at the airport, hugging him tightly. "We saw you," Ava shouts. "You made the whole world listen." He smiles, exhausted but proud. "No, girls, you made them listen. I just carried your voices further." Yet even as praise pours in, shadows remain. Rival executives plot in private, muttering that he's gone too far. One snarls, he thinks he's untouchable, but every movement stumbles. Darius senses the resistance but refuses to let fear dictate his actions. Instead, he doubles down, meeting with civil rights groups, youth organizations, and community leaders. The movement grows broader, stronger, impossible to silence. One evening, Riverton hosts a vigil for international travelers. People from dozens of countries stand side by side, candles glowing in the night. Songs in multiple languages fill the air, but the chants remain the same. "Dignity before departure," Ava whispers to Amara. "It feels like the whole world is here." Amara nods, eyes wide. Because now it's not just Riverton's fight, it's everyone's. Darius watches from the stage, pride swelling in his chest. He knows the road ahead is dangerous, but moments like this remind him, arrogance can spread, but dignity can soar further. And under the glow of countless candles, Riverton proves again that what began at a single gate has become a flight path for the world. Because arrogance may circle overhead, but dignity rules the skies. The United Nations speech marks a turning point. Overnight, Darius Johnson's name trends not just in America, but across the globe. International outlets run headlines like, "From Boarding Gate to Global Stage," and "The Man Who Grounded Skies for Justice." Back in Riverton, the movement grows stronger. At the Terminal of Dignity construction site, workers hang a massive banner. "Justice flies with us." Families stop to take photos, travelers leave flowers, and children trace the letters with their fingers. But fame is a double-edged sword. With each new headline, the threats against Darius intensify. His security team intercepts emails full of hatred. Anonymous calls flood SkyConnect headquarters. Some whisper that he's a hero. Others sneer that he's dangerous. One evening, after tucking Ava and Amara into bed, Darius sits alone at the kitchen table, reading a letter delivered without a return address. It says, "You grounded planes? Next, we'll ground you." His hands tighten around the paper, but he doesn't waver. Instead, he locks it in a drawer, vowing silently that no threat will shake him. Meanwhile, Ava and Amara continue to grow into their roles as young leaders. At school, they're asked to lead the pledge at assemblies. Teachers encourage them to write essays about their experiences. Their classmates hang on their every word. Still, the girls wrestle with the weight of it all. One afternoon, Ava whispers to her sister, "Sometimes I just want to be invisible again." Amara squeezes her hand. "Maybe we can't be invisible, but we can be strong." Their quiet exchange becomes another phrase passed through their school hallways. Not invisible, strong. In Washington, lawmakers push for even stronger reforms. Citing the Johnson Act as proof that dignity can be legislated, committees propose international standards, hoping to pressure airlines worldwide. But industry lobbyists push back fiercely, warning of crippling costs. During one tense hearing, a senator holds up a photo of Ava and Amara holding candles. "This is the cost of doing nothing. 2 children humiliated at a gate. Do not talk to me about profit until you can guarantee dignity." The chamber erupts in applause. The lobbyists sit silent, defeated. Back in Riverton, construction of the Terminal of Dignity nears completion. Journalists tour the nearly finished building. Glass walls stretch like wings, murals depict candles floating in the sky, and plaques carry quotes from the Johnson family. "This isn't just an airport," one reporter says live. "It's a temple of respect." At the dedication ceremony, Ava and Amara are invited to cut the ribbon. Cameras flash as they smile nervously, holding oversized scissors. "Together," Amara whispers. They cut and the crowd cheers. Inside, travelers wander wide-eyed through the terminal, pausing at exhibits detailing the story of March 2025. Some cry quietly, others stand in reverent silence. That night, Darius leads his daughters through the halls. They stop at a display showing the very boarding passes they carried on that fateful day. Ava stares at them, whispering, "We were just trying to go see Grandma." "Yes," Darius says softly, "and look what came from it." Meanwhile, opponents grow louder. Talk shows feature critics who sneer, "He's turned aviation into activism." Rival CEOs complain privately. One warns, "He's building a cult, not a company," but the public isn't swayed. Passengers flood SkyConnect with record bookings. Families request flights through Riverton just to walk the halls of the new terminal. The airline becomes not just a carrier, but a cause. Still, Darius feels the strain. Meetings stretch late into the night, his face grows tired, and the burden of leadership weighs heavily. But every time he thinks of stepping back, he remembers the tears in Ava and Amara's eyes that day at the gate, and his resolve hardens again. One evening, as protests continue outside rival airline headquarters, Ava asks him, "Dad, do you ever get tired of fighting?" He smiles sadly. "Every day. But then I look at you, and I remember why I can't stop." The twins hug him tightly. In that embrace, he finds the strength to keep going. As the second anniversary approaches, Riverton prepares for another day of dignity. This time, delegations from other countries join in, carrying their own banners, singing their own songs. The city buzzes with anticipation. On the eve of the march, Darius stands at his window, watching candlelight flicker across the horizon. He whispers to himself, "It began with 2 girls at a gate. Now it's a world on fire." And as chants rise once more through Riverton's streets, the truth becomes undeniable. Arrogance may threaten, but dignity cannot be silenced. The second day of dignity dawns with Riverton alive like never before. Streets swell with crowds, candles in hand, banners waving. This time, the march isn't just American. Delegations from Canada, Brazil, South Africa, and Japan arrive, carrying their own flags alongside signs that read, "We march with Riverton." Television anchors describe it as the largest human rights demonstration tied to aviation in world history. Helicopters sweep over the city, capturing breathtaking shots of candles stretching like rivers of light across highways leading to the airport. Inside the Johnson home, Ava and Amara prepare nervously. Their grandmother braids their hair while their father adjusts their jackets. "You've done this before," he assures them gently. Ava bites her lip, but this time it feels bigger, like the whole world is watching. Darius smiles. "That's because they are. But remember, you're not carrying the world alone. You're carrying your truth, and truth is always lighter than lies." At the march, chants thunder before the family even arrives. "Dignity before departure. We belong. Justice flies with us." Choirs sing, drums pound, and every window in Riverton reflects candlelight. When the Johnsons step onto the stage outside the courthouse, the roar is deafening. Reporters broadcast live to millions. Ava and Amara clutch each other's hands, their eyes wide at the sight of tens of thousands stretching into the horizon. Darius steps forward first, his voice booming through the night. "2 years ago, arrogance tried to silence my daughters. 2 years ago, arrogance thought it could ground dignity. But tonight, look around you. Dignity has taken off, and arrogance has no runway left." The crowd explodes with cheers. The chant shifts. "No runway left. No runway left." Then, for the first time, Ava and Amara take the microphone together. Their young voices tremble at first, but soon grow stronger. "Ava, we were just 2 kids trying to visit our grandma, but we were told we didn't belong. We thought maybe we did something wrong." Amara, "But our dad reminded us and reminded the world that we did belong, that everyone belongs. And now we see you all here, and we know we are not alone." The crowd erupts, many wiping away tears. Families chant their names. Delegates from other countries wave flags in solidarity. Back in Washington, lawmakers watch the broadcast live. One senator whispers, "This isn't just protest, it's policy shaping itself in real time." In London, a journalist reports, "The Johnson family has become a global symbol, transforming airports into arenas of dignity." But even as the world celebrates, threats simmer. Rival executives meet in secret, furious at Darius's growing power. One growls, "He's no longer running an airline, he's running a movement. And movements can topple industries." Another nods grimly, "He's untouchable in the public eye, but every movement has cracks. We just have to find his." Meanwhile, the gate agent who sparked it all remains in exile. Watching coverage from a small apartment, she whispers bitterly, "All of this because of me." Her face, once everywhere, has faded from headlines, but her conscience remains loud. Back at the march, the candles burn brighter as night deepens. Choirs from across the country lead songs in multiple languages. A group from South Africa sings in Zulu, their voices blending with American chants. It feels less like protest and more like a global chorus. Darius takes the microphone again. "Listen to this sound. This is not just Riverton. This is not just America. This is the world saying in one voice, 'Dignity belongs to all.'" The roar shakes the plaza. Ava and Amara hold their candles high, their young faces glowing in the firelight. Later that night, as the family walks home through quiet streets still lined with candles, Ava whispers, "Dad, I didn't feel scared this time." "That's because courage grows," he replies. "Every time you speak, every time you stand, your courage gets stronger. And one day you'll carry this even further than I ever could." At home, they sit together in silence. The glow of candles still visible outside their window. Amara leans against her father's shoulder. "Do you think people will still remember us in 10 years? Darius smiles faintly. "They won't just remember you. They'll remember what you stood for. And that will outlive us all." The next morning, newspapers across the globe carry images of the march. "Candles over Riverton." One headline reads, another proclaims, "2 girls, 1 father, and a world united." Commentators agree, arrogance may still lurk, but it no longer commands the skies. Because Riverton proved that when voices rise together, even the planes listen. The morning after the second day of dignity, Riverton awakens to headlines splashed across every newspaper and glowing on every screen. A movement with wings, from gate to global stage. Images of Ava and Amara holding candles alongside delegates from around the world dominate the news cycle. In their kitchen, the twins eat cereal as the television plays footage of the march. Ava giggles. "Look at us, Amara, we're on TV again." Amara smiles, but her voice is thoughtful. "We're not just on TV, we're part of history." Darius, sipping his coffee, nods quietly. He doesn't interrupt. He wants them to understand it themselves. Across the nation, vigils continue in solidarity. In New York, thousands gather outside JFK Airport, chanting in unison. In Los Angeles, families march down Wilshire Boulevard carrying candles. Internationally, Paris holds its own vigil. London projects dignity before departure across Heathrow's terminal, and in Cape Town, protesters sing in unison with Riverton's chants. But not everyone celebrates. Rival airline executives, growing desperate, convene another secret meeting. "He's turned aviation into a pulpit," one snarls. "Every delay, every inconvenience. People will demand it be tied to dignity now. He's undermining the industry." Another shakes his head. "No, he's redefining it. And unless we break his influence, the world will never fly the same again." Their words hang in the air like smoke. Meanwhile, back in Riverton, the Terminal of Dignity nears its grand opening. Crews put finishing touches on murals depicting the march, the candles, and the Johnson family. Reporters prepare for the event, calling it the most significant terminal opening in modern history. One evening, Darius takes Ava and Amara for a private walk through the nearly finished terminal. Sunlight streams through towering glass walls. The twins marvel at exhibits showing their story, photos of the vigil, quotes engraved in stone, even replicas of the candles lit that first night. Amara whispers, "It feels like a museum." Darius smiles. "It's not a museum, it's a promise. Every traveler who walks through here will know they belong." They stop in front of a large plaque bearing their words, "Not invisible. Strong." Ava touches it, her eyes wide. "That's what I said at school." "Yes," Darius says softly. "And now the world will hear it forever." As excitement builds for the opening, security concerns rise. Darius receives another anonymous letter, harsher than before. "You grounded planes once. Next time, we'll ground you for good." He reads it late at night, the house quiet, his daughters asleep upstairs. For the first time, his hands tremble. He knows arrogance doesn't vanish, it fights back when cornered. But then he glances at the framed photo of Ava and Amara holding candles. His fear hardens into resolve. He whispers to himself, "You can threaten me, but you'll never silence them." The grand opening arrives. Tens of thousands flood Riverton International, reporters broadcasting live worldwide. Choirs sing as dignitaries gather. Delegates from over a dozen countries stand shoulder to shoulder. When Darius and his daughter step onto the stage, the roar of the crowd is deafening. Candles glow in every hand, turning the terminal into a sea of light. Darius begins. "This terminal is more than steel and glass. It is a declaration that dignity is not optional, that no traveler will ever again be told they don't belong." He gestures to Ava and Amara. This began with 2 children denied their place. Tonight, those same children open a terminal where every person belongs. The twins step forward nervously, then speak together, their young voices echoing. "Welcome to the Terminal of Dignity. Welcome home." The crowd erupts, chants rolling like thunder. "Welcome home! Welcome home!" News anchors across the globe describe the moment as the culmination of a movement that began with humiliation but ended with hope. Later that night, after the celebrations, Darius walks the quiet halls with his daughters. The candles are still glowing, their light reflected in the polished glass. Ava whispers, "Dad, do you think people will really remember this forever?" He places an arm around her shoulders. "Yes, because dignity doesn't expire. Once it takes flight, it never lands." From the rooftops, reporters capture the glowing terminal, its glass shining like a beacon in the night. And in homes across the world, families whisper to their children the same story, about 2 little girls told they didn't belong, who help the world remember that everyone does. Because arrogance may try to ground dignity, but dignity always finds a way to fly higher. The Terminal of Dignity shines like a jewel on Riverton's skyline. Weeks after its opening, travelers still pause to take photos at the entrance, where Ava and Amara's handprints rest in bronze. Tourists treat it like a pilgrimage site. Families whisper stories to their children about the girls who grounded the skies so that dignity could take flight. But inside the Johnson home, life is quieter. Ava and Amara still argue about homework, still giggle over cartoons, still dream about visiting their grandmother. For all the headlines and ceremonies, they are still children. Yet their father knows. They carry history on their shoulders. One evening, as they sit together on the porch, Amara asks softly, "Dad, is it finally over? Did we win?" Darius leans back, watching the sunset. "We won a battle, but dignity is never one fight. It's a flight we take every day." Ava frowns. "But what if arrogance comes back?" He smiles faintly. "Then we rise higher. Every time." Across the world, the ripple of Riverton continues. Airlines in Asia and Europe adopt the Johnson standard. Airports in South America hold annual vigils. In Africa, murals of candles appear on terminal walls. Commentators declare, the Johnson movement has become global law of the skies. In Washington, the president hosts the Johnson family at the White House. Cameras flash as Ava and Amara present him with a candle carved from Riverton wax. He accepts it solemnly, saying, "This will sit on my desk as a reminder that dignity must never be delayed." Later in private, he tells Darius, "You did more than ground planes. You lifted a nation." But not everyone is finished resisting. Behind closed doors, rivals still mutter about his influence. Anonymous threats still arrive, yet their power fades in the face of public loyalty. Each attempt to undermine him only fuels more support. Back in Riverton, the second anniversary of the shutdown arrives. The city prepares another march, but this time the atmosphere is different. It's less protest and more celebration. Choirs rehearse, families decorate storefronts with candles, and children prepare to carry banners. The night of the march, tens of thousands flood the streets once more. But unlike the fiery chants of the past, tonight's voices carry joy. People sing hymns, wave flags, and shout words of gratitude. Candles glow not as weapons, but as lanterns guiding the future. On the courthouse steps, Darius steps forward with his daughters at his side. The roar is deafening, but he raises his hand and silence falls. 2 years ago, he begins, arrogance tried to ground dignity. 2 years ago, my daughters were told they didn't belong. But look at them now. Look at us now. Do you see silence? No. You see voices. Do you see shame? No, you see pride. And tonight, Riverton declares once more, dignity is forever. The crowd erupts, chanting, "Dignity is forever! Dignity is forever!" Ava and Amara step forward, their young voices clear. Ava, "We thought we were invisible." Amara, "But we learned we were strong. Together, and so are you." Tears stream down faces across the plaza. Parents hug children, strangers embrace, choirs join in harmony, their voices rising into the night. As the chants roll on, candles lift high, their flames shimmering against the dark sky. Helicopters capture aerial views of Riverton glowing like a sea of stars. Across the world, screens light up with the same image. A city where arrogance fell and dignity rose. Later that night, back home, the Johnson family sits quietly in their living room. The girls, exhausted, fall asleep on the couch, still clutching their candles. Darius watches them, his heart heavy with both pride and responsibility. He whispers to himself, "This began with humiliation. It ended with history." The house is quiet, but outside, Riverton still hums with candlelight, the city refusing to let the flame die, because arrogance may strike at gates, but dignity always finds wings, and now the skies will never forget.